Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And it is freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer, Donald Patak. There's my contact information. Standard YouTube copyright, I'm sorry. And no, my content may not be used to train AI or its AI-based LLMs. I like to apologize because I did have to go outside and do some shoveling today, and it was very freezing cold. And I finally just got my voice back. I've tried to record this 3 times. It did not work. So keys to the reading, because I do read astrology different. Number one, I use constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal astrology. It's astrology by the visible sky, also astrology by astronomy. In ancient times, astrologers were astronomers, and they read the sky. They did the interpretations based on where things actually were. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons, and that's where most people are aware of. I'm going back to the original way the astrologers worked, which is using the visible sky. So my transits are going to sound just a little bit different than tropical astrology. And in using the visible sky, there are 13 signs. Missing sign is a fucus. It's between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Yes, it's there. Check your star maps. The symbol is of a person or a man holding a snake by the head and the tail. Snake in ancient times symbolized knowledge. So when you have it holding it by the head and the tail, it's use of knowledge. And ideally, you're using knowledge to heal yourself and then to heal others with similar wounds. That's the ideal of the mythos there. I'm using the natural size of the constellations because Mother Nature did not make them all the same size. Virgo in her glory is just under 50 degrees. Libra, Scorpio, and Fucus individually, they're individually less than 25 degrees apiece. The three of them together, just over 70 degrees if they're lucky. Um, Mother Nature, in her wisdom, made the constellations all different sizes. I respect that. And I use astrological midpoints as opposed to the IAU boundaries. The IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn and may put stars from one constellation into a different one. Athan Shementi noted that, figured out, and he came up with his solution. I'm using that. I think it's more accurate. Keys to the reading, part 2. I interpret using evolutionary astrology, saying that these transits are lessons to learn, and you have freedom of choice. You can choose how you're going to work with the lessons. You can take the high road or the low road. I respect that. I give you both. This is the weekly edition, so these are universal lessons. So do have some compassion on your fellow Earth travelers. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact because if I did more than that or I use a wider aspect or wider, whatever it's called, my mind just slipped. If I went wider than 1 degree, I'd be overwhelmed. If I'm overwhelmed, you're lost. And the software that I use for my predictions and calculations is Capricorn by Prometheus. So these are the weekly transits for the week of January 19th through 25, 2026. There is a lot going on from last week, especially when I show you the chart, you'll understand. Last week's transits, I'm not going to repeat them because that would effectively double the length of this video. My voice didn't hold out 3 other times. It's not going to hold out a 4th. So please see video number 2 from last week. Go towards the end. I was going to try to figure out the minutes, but time is of the essence. So I apologize for that. The sun begins the week in Sagittarius and will move into Capricorn. We will be in Capricorn season this week. So it's about getting things done. Capricorn is interesting. We're going to have a lot of planets. Oh, I forgot to put it in here. We have 3 planets changing signs. The sun, Mercury, and Mars are all moving into Capricorn. And what makes Capricorn so interesting is it's called the sea goat. The tail is of a seal, but the front is of a goat. Seal, water, inspiration, ideas. Think of everything you picked up while you were exploring in Sagittarius. You have all those dreams, all those ideals. Capricorn says, let's make them real. So it's taking all this inspiration, all these ideas, and turning them into reality. So I do apologize for that. 3 sign changes: Sun, Capricorn season, Mercury, and Mars. The moon starts the week in Sagittarius, but very quickly moves into Capricorn. So it's not as busy as it sounds. And we do have a very long transit in Pisces. I think that begins on Wednesday and goes all the way through Sunday. And Aries is Sunday evening. So the moon is not even as busy as it sounds, okay? We have no major moon phase, but we do have the crescent moon in Pisces. I'm not going to deal with that in depth. I actually pulled it so I could keep the video of reasonable length. But it's kind of a clash between dreaming and doing. Moon is dreaming, saying, look at all this great stuff we could do. And the sun is saying, let's get down to brass tacks and do something. I don't usually read the semi-square, which is what it is. Active planets of the week are Mercury and the sun. They do have the most transits. But of the outer planets in the new week, Pluto is playing his cards. We have 2 from last week. We have Venus, and this week we have Mercury and the sun both conjunct Pluto. I don't remember if Venus did it last week or not, or is that this week? We got a lot of transits to Pluto. Pluto is the planet of transformation and change. So it's it's deep inner transformation as well. It can be also thought of as deep healing, a very powerful, positive planet. And retrograde, which is reflection or a time of inner work, Jupiter and Uranus. So let me pull this up. I'm going to pull my thing down here. And as you can see from last week, let me get my doodle tool. That's quite a bit to cover. That's as much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's almost at 1, 2. That's as much as what's going on this week. So that's why I'm not going to cover last week's transits outside of our long transit of Saturn and Uranus, because that would make this video very long. Like I said, my voice did not hold out. I was outside today. It was sub-zero, wind chill sub-zero, 20 degrees below zero. And yes, I did freeze. But for the new week, as you can see, we have, that's Venus, Mercury, plus the sign change. And then you have the sun, and the sun, and the sign change. Plus, that's another Mercury transit right there. So Mercury, the planet of learning and communication, opening up your mind, paying attention with all your senses, really very important, and followed secondly by the sun, your core identity. Who are you? Let me clear that out because it's cluttering it up for my eyes. I also broke my glasses, and they're trifocals, so the bridge slips up and down, so I'm constantly adjusting them. But we do have Mercury changing, we have the sun changing, we have Mars changing signs. And our transit of the week or energy of the week really is the conjunction, the fusing of 2. So we got Venus with Pluto, the sun with Mercury, Mercury with Pluto, the sun with Pluto. So the conjunction joining together. Think of there's the story. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, pair up with someone. If you ever try to walk on a train rail, if you doing that balancing thing with your arms, you'll fall off after a bit. But if you get one person on one rail and one person, you hold your arms on, you hold each other's hands, you actually steady each other. That's the conjunction. 2 energies working together to kind of stabilize and strengthen each other. And we've got 4 of them this week. Beginning of the week, there is a lot of energy. We do have one more conjunction, a lot of sextiles and trines, so it's a lot of easy energy to work with. Easy creates interest, excitements, and supports that can lift you up or drag you down real fast. So do be careful with that. But there we go. I also want to cover our lunar transits. As you can see up here, we start the week in Sagittarius, but Monday morning, Capricorn. Tuesday evening, Pisces. Wednesdays is when Tuesday Aquarius, Wednesday evening into Pisces, and that goes all the way through Sunday evening. So it's actually with the moon a very stable energy. So you can, and the big lesson of Pisces is finding inspiration. And that crescent moon does happen on the 22nd. And like I said, it's a semi-square, which is kind of an annoyance or a clash. In the moon, emotionally, you're like, oh, look at all these dreams, look at all these possibilities. And the sun in Capricorn, let's get stuff done. Let's build. So it's kind of a clash. I am not going to cover that in depth. Hold on. Other than to say that happens on the 22nd. So let's, oops, got to close this out. There we go. So we do have our long transit that's going to end on the 30th. Saturn in Pisces, spiritual maturity, sextiling, creating an interest, and Uranus in retrograde, so it's a time of reflection, inner work, in Taurus. So Uranus is you learning your individuality and authenticity, discovering who you really, discovering your individual self. And in Taurus, finding the peace and strength that comes from that, and that's inner work. So that's inner peace, inner strength from realizing your own core, your own identity. It's interesting, like and when I think about it, sometimes I think Uranus and the sun are two sides of the same coin in a way. Nonetheless, ideally, what happens in there is this spiritual inspiration and this spiritual maturity is creating an interest in you discovering who you really are at heart. And you're discovering your authentic self and finding the peace and strength that comes from that. The shadow. Saturn can become cynical and bitter, be a control freak, and in Pisces, trying to control. I often think of that as a religious fundamentalism. And sextile, again, it's kind of a nervousness, whatever, is what I think of it as. But Uranus and Taurus, Uranus, the shadow of Uranus is selling yourself out to meet the expectations of others. Whether you're trying to fit in to the suits and, a person becomes a lawyer, how do they dress? They always wear a certain color suit, etc., whatever. Or think of that eccentric person that acts out. You get the mohawk, oh, by big deal, you got a mohawk, who cares? And then just to get the reaction, provoke the reaction, they come in the next day and it's all different colors, especially fluorescent. Uranus is giving your identity away to other people. And in Taurus, it's the lazy way out. It can also be acting out like a bull in a china shop. So that fundamentalism, that rigid control and living in that fantasy that you can control things, creates this false image of yourself. Oops. Yeah. And you're selling yourself out to the rigid expectations of others. And it feels fake, and your ability to express your true self can get lost. That will be ending on the 30th, which I believe should be next, is by the end of the month. No, never mind. That's where my brain isn't. Is that next week? Yeah, should be. From Friday, we have the moon entering Sagittarius. The moon, your emotional self, as Sagittarius, wants to get up, go out, and explore. Seeking new ways of doing the same thing. Looking for new information, new experiences, new ideas, expecting the unexpected. That's what it's looking for. That's the ideal. It's looking for new ways of doing the same old, same old. The shadow here is saying stuck in the same old ideas. It has you bored, stuck in a rut, or mindlessly defending the status quo. And usually you're fighting a pointless battle within yourself. So this is where we're beginning the week with the moon, is in Sagittarius. You're looking for new, exciting new exciting ideas to try out, or you're falling into stuck in a rut. Okay. Okay, and early Monday morning, in the Monday morning, we have the moon entering Capricorn. So now it's got this information and wants to get up and do something with it. So you're ready to take action and take on face the challenges of life. Practicing self-discipline will help you with success and achieve success. So, emotionally, you're ready roll up the sleeves and do the hard work. The shadow here is failing. You're not able to control yourself and trying to micromanage or control others can leave you feeling alone and isolated. Monday, we have Venus conjunct Pluto and Capricorn. And remember, Venus is about relationships, your ability to connect with people. It's also about your creativity. And the Venus does govern the arts. And I don't think we talk about that enough personally. So we're talking also about your creativity, and it can also be about rest, recreation, having fun. But Pluto is about the work of transformation and change. And in Capricorn, this is all about doing that work. So in relationships, how's working with others helping you change? How is, what insights are you gaining about yourself through your arts and music? Or what are you learning? How are you changing yourself by learning to take a break? But yeah, and this can help you. And the thing is, working with when you're working with Pluto, you're doing that transformation. This helps you to recover what it seems to have been lost, your energy and ambitions. Pluto helps to bring that back. Now, the shadow here, Venus can be slick and manipulative. It comes across as lazy. And in Pluto, Pluto and Capricorn, this is just cynicism on steroids. And all that being slick and manipulative and not being able to control people or get them to do what you want leads to a cynical attitude towards life, feelings of loneliness and dark isolation. I always want to say it's like being a bully in a way. You can't bully people into doing what you're doing, and then you feel like isolated and alone. Mercury in Sagittarius sextiling Neptune in Pisces. Mercury in Sagittarius is finishing up the last couple of degrees here. In my focal point better, thank you. Mercury in Sagittarius, exploring new ideas, opening your mind up to new ideas and new information. This creates an interest in what? Neptune in Pisces, your spirituality, learning to be present, learning to be in the moment. Neptune in Pisces says, don't just do something, be there. Was it Ram Dass said, be here, be now. Neptune in Pisces says, pay attention to what's happening around you right here, right now. And so Neptune Mercury, as it's gaining this information, it's like, oh wow, this has been here all along. So opening up to new ideas can help you lead to shifts in perspectives and interest in spiritual perception and connections. And it can help you find a deeper sense of unity. And I think that's another great lesson of Neptune. The shadow here, Mercury can be scatterbrained or mentally rigid. And in Sagittarius, crisis of confidence, over or underconfident. Can't teach me anything, I know it all, or I can't learn, so don't bother trying. Creates a sense of nervousness. And in Neptune in Pisces, just wants to escape and hide away, live in a fantasy, numb the pain. And so that Mercury, that crisis in learning, leaves you lost in a self-created illusion or being mentally defensive, leads to the creation of a self-centered martyr complex. You can feel persecuted for what you think. And we have Mercury and Sun conjunct Mercury in Sagittarius, and then it'll finish in Capricorn. Now, it says Sun conjunct Mercury, but this is the situation where Mercury is actually going to shoot past the Sun. So it's really Mercury conjuncting the Sun. So what are you learning? What you're learning about the world around you. How is that teaching? What is that telling you about yourself? So part one, what is exciting your core, your heart? What do you as you're getting this information, what excites you? And then as it moves into Capricorn, you've got this information. What are you going to do with it? Because Capricorn wants to do stuff. It likes taking the inspiration and turning it into practicality. So you're more engaged with life, got these new insights, now do something with it. So it sees the big picture, and now it's time to take practical steps, to do something with it and achieve those ideals and make those ideas something real. The shadow here, unfocused, distracted, fueling the false ego, blinding yourself to others and what's going on around you. And again, you come across as insensitive, Sagittarius, and then leaves you feeling alone and isolated, Capricorn. Sorry about all this drinking, but my throat is just, it was cold. And yes, I did have a scarf over my mouth, but still, at 20 degrees below zero was ick. Okay, I think I have Mercury in the wrong. Yeah. Never mind. I'm just going to read it as I have it. Tuesday, Sun enters Capricorn. I think on my charts I had Mercury entering Capricorn on Monday. I'm just going to read it the way I have it. But the Sun enters Capricorn on Tuesday. So the Sun, your core identity, in Capricorn, doing stuff, your achievements. So focus on your achievements and accomplishments worthy of your own personal values and ideals. Work on what's true to your heart, and develop your ability to support them. Another thing with Capricorn is being a self-starter and practicing self-discipline. So instead of looking to other people to push you forward, learn to find that inspiration learn to find that energy from within yourself, and knowing that that will fuel your success. And patience, another great lesson in Capricorn, patience from taking the long view. Hey, you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. Yeah, I can do whatever. This is my plan to get there. So it's taking that long view. The shadow here is falling into self-pity, practicing self-pity, it just fuels failure and also fear of the future that cannot be controlled. The Sun in its ego likes to think it can control things. And this is whether it's overconfident or underconfident, because I'll tell you what, underconfident people can be pretty manipulative. I work in schools. I see it a lot. And that can lead to attempts to micromanage and control others. Again, that fuels feelings of loneliness, isolation, bitterness. Ick. Yeah, my favorite astrological term of the day is ick. Mercury entering Capricorn, and again, Mercury learning, communication, Capricorn doing something with it. Time to learn what interests you through practice of self-discipline. So this is actual, hey, I'm interested in learning about, this is my plan to learn about it. So, and also this can also help you communicate with clarity and authority. Again, developing your learning skills, developing your communication skills. Embrace the willingness to learn from teachers that arise and practicing what you learn. I think a great lesson of Capricorn is practice. The shadow here, missing the moment, it means wasting time and effort on what's unnecessary and useless. Spinning your okay, I live out in Western New York, bald tires on ice in a snowstorm. Going nowhere fast, and it's a waste of time. You can leave you feeling driven, serving time, and going nowhere, and ultimately doing nothing. And finally, on Tuesday, the moon enters Aquarius. So emotionally, you want to feel a little independent and free yourself from the expectations of others and take the paths in life that speak to your own inner ideals. The shadow here is following the expectations of others, whether that's selling out to the crowd, whether it's the suits or I hate to call them the freaks. I don't know. I have come up with a polite term. But, those people who do things to stand out and provoke a reaction from people. You're selling out your expectations, and inside you feel fake and meaningless. Wednesday, Mars in Sagittarius, sextiling Neptune in Pisces. Mars in Sagittarius is the courage to explore and look around and step out of your routines. And how is that creating an excitement or an interest in your spirituality? So that's taking that deeper step there, and having the courage to trust in yourself can help to suspend the disbelief. You know? So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. The shadow here, Mars falls into fear, and that can be anger, explosive anger, and cowardice, which can come across. Either one is insensitive and irrational. Um, but that's that crisis of confidence, either over or under, leaves you feeling lost in an illusion and trying to escape an imaginary world. You're living in fear, and that fear exists up here and only in here. So yeah. And Mercury now shoots past the sun. And we have Mercury conjunct Pluto. So Mercury, what are you learning? And how is this helping you to do the work of transformation? So being curious, open-minded, leading to mental breakthroughs that enable this deep transformation, help you recover what was lost. Pluto can be very empowering. Interesting, just as an aside, we have in the mythos, there's Pluto and Hades. Pluto was the god of wealth. Hades was the lord of the underworld. So it's kind of two different gods here when we talk about Pluto. So I would say the high side of Pluto is that god of wealth. So as you're doing that work of learning, communication, and hard work, it's helping you to do that work that leads to those mental breakthroughs, and you be able to take those higher steps and higher challenges, and that deeper learning. And it helps also to build the patience and persistence that leads to success. God of wealth. The shadow, Hades, the underworld, doom, gloom, and darkness. So that's scatterbrained, unfocused, mentally rigid, defensive, and that fuels a cynical attitude. These can be words that wound and wound deeply, and you can come across as insensitive and, again, alone and isolated. Wednesday, the moon enters Pisces, and here you're seeking a vision. You're seeking inspiration for your life at this moment. Look for the opportunities for spiritual growth, and also pay attention. Be spiritually aware. So do pay attention to your spiritual practices at this time. The shadow here is withdrawing and numbing yourself to the world around you, leaves you feeling emotionally empty and maybe caught up in meaningless fantasies. Thursday, the sun is conjunct Pluto. I apologize for all those lines, but yeah, we have quite the power conjunction here. Sun conjunct Mercury conjunct Pluto. It's just finishing up. The sun and Mercury conjunction are just finishing up too. But the sun begins its conjunction to Pluto. So forming an accurate self-image and defining your values supports the deep work of transformation and recovering of who you really are at heart. And change by letting your own intentions rather by others' appetites shape your life. I think that one really, I think that says it all in a sentence. The shadow here is collapsing into the false ego, comes across as selfish, insensitive, leaving you feeling cynical and focused on everything that is going wrong in life. And when you complain, everybody runs away. And on Thursdays, when we have that semi-square to the sun, that's where the moon will be in Pluto and the sun is in Capricorn. It'll be conjunct Pluto as well. But that is where, and it's kind of a clash. There's the dreaming versus the doing. It's okay to dream, but as long as those dreams are fueling the doing. The shadow is getting lost in that and lost in the fantasy, and that undermines everything. Friday, we have Mars entering Capricorn. Mars, time to practice courage and assertiveness and standing up for your beliefs and values and who you are, and learn to practice patience and calm in the face of life's challenges. You know, people are getting in your face. Calm, cool, and collected, you know. Don't have to deal it. Building integrity is what leads to success. So this is having the courage to face the challenges of life, knowing that that's going to be deeply changing. The shadow here, falling into fear, fueling explosive anger, desire to hide away, or strike out in loneliness and just do stuff alone. I can't count anybody else. I just have to do it by myself. All this can lead to and fuel failure. Also, becoming a control freak over yourself or others fuels failure and loneliness. Falling into fear fuels failure. I think that's the big lesson here. Saturday. It's Saturday. Take a break. Take a breath. Remember to exhale. Repeat. When I was growing up, we used to wake up Saturday morning, do some quick chores, have breakfast, and watch Saturday morning cartoons. Hopefully, you can find some to watch. Excuse me. And Sunday, we have the moon entering Aries. Emotionally, you're ready to get up and face the challenges of life. You're feeling brave, finding a little inner courage. You need to face your challenges. Competition may arise. You're ready to meet it with confidence. This is the football playoffs, too. Not that I don't watch football, I watch rugby. But hey, you know what? If football is your thing, stand up for your team, The shadow here is slipping into fear, and that fuels outbursts of anger or hiding away in cowardice. You're either trying to force people to respect your power, or you're just giving it away. Either one can fuel a loss of momentum. And that's where we're going to end this week. My voice held out. Thank you. Do follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. And we also have something called Digital Soul Space. These three core companies are making billions off your data and not sharing much, if anything, with you. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the mighty networks. You control your data and how it's used. I like to call it the spiritual safe space of the internet. Got 4 great moderators that that keep up on the site and keep up on the content. If there's any bullying or anything, they step in and address it. We just had a post this week. Somebody created a bogus account, was posting porn. I never saw it, but they posted saying, hey, somebody created a bogus account. We're posting porn. Other people have been posting stuff and trying to sell stuff. They don't have a store space on our site, so we shut them down and shut them off. I mean, we have 4 great moderators that keep it a safe place. I do astrology on there. There's other astrologers. There's crystals, tarot, oracle cards, a wide variety of spiritual practices, mediumship. I can't remember, art, music. People share some really incredible stuff. And there's a free version. I guess for the first 30 days, you have access to the entire site. And then after that, it's less than a cup of coffee a month. So to me, it's worth it. It's a great place to go, knowing that when you post a question, you're going to get people who really want to help you. I do readings in packages. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal, that's the quick 6 key points. If you want to know what are you here to be, or who did you come here to be? Your birth chart or your natal chart. In evolutionary astrology is your birth chart. It's who you came here to become. It's your birth contract. Begin with the end in mind. I can help you understand that. If you're a person who believes in past lives, your past life created some bad karma, and now you're reliving it, I can tell you what that archetype is, how it can show up in this life. More importantly, and just as important, I can tell you how you heal it and release it. I do horoscopes 1 year, 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And there are people who like new moon to new moon, or the first of the month to the last of the month, whichever speaks to you. And I do have packages that combine these different readings on 4 different levels. So do like, follow, and share here on YouTube and on Facebook and Instagram and on Digital Soul Space. If you go on my website, freedomthroughastrology.com, that's THRU, you get a pop-up. Just enter an email address. You get once a week email where I give you all this information first. If you missed that, in the upper right-hand corner, you can click on subscribe. All I need is your email address. All readings and stuff can be ordered under services. Packages are under the other tab, which I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Scheduling. So, like, follow, share. Hey, buy a reading. Remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much. I apologize for my voice. Hopefully, it's good enough for you to be able to understand this. Hopefully, it gets better. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but the honey time stuff has been helping a lot. Thank you very much. Have the best week possible.